The unexpected invasion. The sky above Earth was clear, like any ordinary day. People were going about their lives, unaware that the world was about to change forever. It was early morning when the first sign of something strange appeared. A bright light streaked across the sky, like a falling star. But this wasn't just any star. It was much larger, and it didn't fall. It hovered, suspended in the air, too still to be a meteor. Panic spread quickly. News stations scrambled to report the event, but there were no answers. What was that? Where had it come from? People in cities all over the world stared up at the sky, wondering if they were dreaming. The light grew brighter, and suddenly, dozens of similar lights appeared all over the world. These were no ordinary lights. They were ships, massive ships that blocked out the sun. They hovered ominously, casting shadows over entire cities. People felt a chill run down their spines. The world's governments acted fast, trying to figure out what was happening. But they had no idea. Military jets were scrambled, and scientists were called to emergency meetings. They tried to make sense of the situation, but there was no easy explanation. The ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. They were made of sleek, dark metal that shimmered in the sunlight, and their size was unimaginable. Some of them were as large as entire skyscrapers. Then the unthinkable happened. From the largest ship, a booming voice echoed through the air. It was not a voice in the sky, but directly in the minds of every human on Earth. The message was clear, cold, and terrifying. We are the Empire of Zaltar. You are now under our rule. This planet is ours to conquer. Resist, and you will be destroyed. The message sent a wave of fear across the planet. People ran through the streets, looking for answers, but there were none. The voice continued to echo in their minds, its final words carrying a heavy threat. Prepare yourselves for war. The world went silent. For a moment, no one moved. Everyone stood frozen in shock. No one had ever prepared for something like this. The idea of alien life had always been something of science fiction, something imagined in movies and books. But now, the invasion was real. The Earth, humanity's home, was under attack. In every country, governments scrambled to form a plan. The United Nations called an emergency meeting, but the truth was, no one knew how to fight back. The alien ships were too advanced. The Earth's military forces, powerful as they were, stood no chance against such an overwhelming force. The next few days were chaos. People watched in horror as the aliens deployed their first strike. Cities around the world were attacked by powerful energy blasts that destroyed entire buildings in seconds. The aliens moved quickly, using advanced technology that humans could barely comprehend. It felt like everything they had worked for, everything they had built, was crumbling before their eyes. But humanity wasn't ready to give up. Despite the shock, despite the fear, something deep inside the human spirit began to awaken. People started to rally together. Governments called for unity. Soldiers trained and prepared to fight back, knowing the odds were stacked against them. The first instinct of humanity was not to surrender, but to resist, to fight for their home, for their families, and for their future. And so the war began. The aliens, who had arrived with a sense of superiority, had underestimated one key thing: humanity's ability to adapt. The battle was only beginning, and despite the overwhelming power of the alien invaders, Earth's defenders were determined to prove that no matter how powerful the enemy, humanity would never go down without a fight. The Earth was under invasion, and no one knew how this war would end. But one thing was certain: humanity was about to show the invaders just how resilient they were. Humanity's first move. The world was in shock. For days, the alien ships hovered over cities, a constant reminder of their power. Humans had never faced such an overwhelming threat. Their technology was no match for the alien forces, and cities around the globe lay in ruins. The aliens had declared war, and the fear was palpable. People didn't know who to trust or where to turn. But there was something stirring inside the hearts of the people. A quiet determination began to spread, not just among the leaders, but in the everyday citizens as well. They refused to let fear be their final answer. As they watched their cities burn and their homes crumble, something inside them clicked. They were humans, after all. And humans didn't give up easily. Governments began to unite, setting aside old rivalries and working together in a way they never had before. The United Nations became the central hub for Earth's defense. But even with all the global unity, there was still no real strategy. Military leaders met in secret bunkers, trying to devise a plan, but the truth was clear. They were outmatched. The alien weapons were far superior. Humanity's most advanced technologies were like toys compared to the alien forces. Still, the human spirit wasn't so easily broken. General Marcus Green, one of the world's most decorated military leaders, was the first to suggest something that no one had dared to consider. He knew that humanity wasn't going to win by fighting the aliens in the traditional way. The aliens had the technology. The humans had their ingenuity. We may not have the strength to beat them in a head-on battle, General Green said, his voice calm but resolute, but we have something they don't have. We have the power to think outside the box. We have the power to adapt. We can learn. We can outsmart them. And that's how we will win. His words inspired the first glimmer of hope in a dark time. He proposed a risky move. Instead of trying to fight the aliens head-on with weapons that were no match for theirs, humanity would need to reverse engineer the alien technology and use it to their advantage. But that would take time. And time, as they knew, was something they didn't have. The plan was set into motion. The world's brightest minds, scientists, engineers, and technicians, came together in secret labs. They began to study the wreckage of the alien ships, scavenging whatever pieces they could. Each alien ship that was shot down gave them a piece of the puzzle they needed to understand. It was a long shot, but it was their only shot. Meanwhile, across the globe, a new sense of unity began to take shape. The fear of the unknown began to fade, replaced by something stronger, determination. In every corner of the world, people were coming together, offering what they could to the war effort. Volunteers from all walks of life joined the fight. Engineers began building makeshift weapons, soldiers trained in new tactics, and civilians worked day and night to help the war effort. It was as if the entire world had become one massive team, united for one purpose: survival. In the midst of this chaos, a breakthrough occurred. Dr. Evelyn Carter, a top scientist, made a stunning discovery. After days of studying alien technology, she uncovered a weakness in the alien energy shields. It was a small flaw, a vulnerability in the way their shields interacted with Earth's atmosphere. But it was enough. It was the key humanity needed to finally strike back. With this knowledge, humanity's first counterattack was set into motion. The world's militaries combined their resources to build a new weapon, a powerful EMP, electromagnetic pulse, device that could disrupt the alien shields. The device was the first of its kind, an adaptation of the alien technology, but with a twist. It would temporarily disable the alien shields, making their ships vulnerable to direct attack. The first test was scheduled. If it failed, humanity's hope would be shattered. But if it succeeded, it would mark the beginning of a new chapter. The moment arrived, and the EMP device was fired at a lone alien ship. The world held its breath. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a brilliant flash of light filled the sky as the alien ship shields flickered, then completely shut down. The alien ship was now vulnerable. It worked. The world erupted into cheers. But the battle was far from over. The alien fleet had not been defeated, and the war was only beginning. But for the first time, humanity had hope. They had delivered the first real blow to the invaders. The tide of the war had started to turn. The rise of human ingenuity, the success of the EMP device sent waves of excitement across the globe. For the first time since the invasion began, people felt a glimmer of hope. The alien ships were not invincible. They could be defeated. Humanity had made its first major victory, but they knew the real battle was far from over. The alien fleet still hovered over the Earth, their presence like a dark cloud that loomed over every nation. And even though their shields had been temporarily disabled, the invaders were far from powerless. The fear that had gripped humanity only days ago was now replaced with a burning desire to fight back. In secret labs, military bases, and hidden bunkers around the world, humans worked relentlessly. The momentum of their small victory had sparked a creative fury. Scientists and engineers scrambled to understand every scrap of alien technology they could get their hands on. Every piece of alien wreckage became a puzzle to solve, a clue to unlocking their enemies' strength and weaknesses. But time was running out. Dr. Evelyn Carter, the scientist who had discovered the flaw in the alien shields, now found herself at the forefront of the fight. She and her team were tasked with finding a way to develop weapons that could challenge the alien ships directly. The alien technology, though advanced, was not infallible. It was built for efficiency, for domination. But humans were driven by something more. They weren't simply looking to win. They were looking for a way to outsmart their powerful invaders. The breakthrough came when Dr. Carter noticed something strange about the alien ship's propulsion system. The engines used a unique form of energy that had never been seen on Earth before, but its mechanics were disturbingly similar to human designs, just taken to an extreme. It was a fusion of energy and propulsion that could be adapted. The alien ships had mastered this energy source, but the principles behind it were rooted in concepts humanity was already familiar with. This was their moment. "We can do this," Dr. Carter said to her team, her voice filled with newfound confidence. "We'll reverse engineer their energy source. We'll build our own propulsion system and turn it against them." The team worked day and night. What followed was an explosion of ideas, theories, and solutions that came together almost too quickly. As Earth's best minds gathered the remaining pieces of alien technology, they pieced together a prototype ship, a new weapon that would rival anything the aliens had in their arsenal. This ship, a product of human creativity and determination, was the next step in humanity's counterattack. Unlike the bulky, slow-moving alien ships, this new craft was sleek, fast, and powered by a hybrid energy source, one that merged human technology with alien ingenuity. The ship's design was a mixture of precision and creativity, something only humanity could have achieved. A perfect blend of old and new. It was nimble, powerful, and most importantly, unpredictable. When the ship was finally completed, there was no hesitation. A daring mission was launched. A team of skilled pilots, trained in the new tactics that had been developed, took to the skies in the prototype. Their objective was simple but deadly: to attack the heart of the alien fleet. It was a high-risk move, but it was the only chance they had to disrupt the invaders' strategy. The battle began with an explosive roar as the new ship tore through the sky. Its movements were unlike anything the aliens had encountered. The alien ships had vast numbers, but their size and sluggishness worked against them. They couldn't match the agility of this new human fighter. One by one, the humans engaged alien vessels, using the alien technology to their advantage. The new ships were equipped with weapons designed to disable the alien shields, allowing for direct hits. The aliens had never seen such speed and unpredictability. For the first time, they were on the defensive. The human pilots were a blur of action, dodging and weaving through alien fire, their ships cutting through the enemy with surgical precision. But it wasn't just the ships that had changed. Humanity had also adapted their tactics. They no longer fought in predictable formations. They used guerrilla-style warfare in the skies, striking fast, and then retreating before the enemy could regroup. It was chaotic, but it was working. Dr. Carter watched the battle unfold on the screens in the war room, her heart racing. For the first time in this war, the aliens seemed disoriented. Their advanced technology had made them overconfident, and humanity had outsmarted them. With each successful strike, the aliens' grip on Earth loosened. The battle raged for hours, but by the time the sun set, The human fighters had managed to destroy several key alien ships. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was a turning point. The aliens, who had once thought of humanity as nothing more than an obstacle, were now forced to reconsider. The humans were no longer just trying to survive. They were fighting back in ways the invaders never expected. The first true battle of the war had ended, and humanity had proven one thing. They were not a species to be underestimated. The Great Counterattack. The success of the new human fighter ships had sent shockwaves through the alien ranks. For the first time since the invasion began, the invaders found themselves fighting on unfamiliar ground. The humans had not only adapted to their technology, but had begun to outsmart them at every turn. It wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. It was a battle for dominance. The alien fleet had regrouped, now more cautious, more calculating. They had underestimated humanity's ingenuity, and they would not make the same mistake again. They started to deploy their own countermeasures, new defenses and weapons to block the human counterattacks. The war had reached a new stage, and both sides were preparing for the decisive battles ahead. But humanity was not done yet. The turning point came when General Marcus Green, the leader who had first proposed humanity's creative response to the aliens, made a bold decision. He had seen the alien forces adapt, but he had also seen the cracks in their armor. Despite their advanced technology, the aliens were still bound by their own rules humanity had learned to exploit. "We can't just keep defending ourselves," Green said to his commanders. "We need to take the fight to them. We need to strike at the heart of their fleet. If we can disrupt their command, we can shatter their organization and force them into retreat." It was a dangerous move, one that could either turn the tide of the war or lead to catastrophic failure. But General Green's words resonated with the military leaders. Humanity had been fighting a defensive battle for far too long. It was time to go on the offensive. The plan was set into motion. A massive, coordinated counterattack aimed directly at the heart of the alien fleet. Human forces from across the globe, working together as a unified force, would launch a surprise assault. The strategy was simple but audacious. Strike fast, hit hard, and leave the alien fleet reeling. The attack began at dusk, under the cover of a storm that hid the human fleet's movements. Thousands of ships, new and old, human and alien designed, fanned out across the sky, blending into the darkness. The humans had learned to use the aliens' own tactics against them. The first strike was a diversion, a small, seemingly insignificant attack on the outskirts of the alien fleet. But it was only a distraction. As the alien forces scrambled to engage the attacking ships, the real offensive came from a different direction. Human ships, using the newly developed propulsion systems, broke through the alien defenses with remarkable speed. Their movements were erratic and unpredictable, catching the aliens off guard. The humans targeted the alien command ships, the nerve centers of their entire fleet. It was a risky move, but if successful, it would cut off the aliens' ability to coordinate their forces and leave them vulnerable. The alien commanders, distracted by the barrage of smaller skirmishes, had not anticipated such a concentrated direct assault. One by one, the command ships were struck, their shields failing under the relentless pressure of the human fighters. It was as if the aliens had suddenly realized the full extent of humanity's newfound capabilities. Their once impenetrable defense systems were crumbling, and their ability to lead the attack was rapidly deteriorating. But even in the chaos, the aliens were not ready to admit defeat. They launched their own desperate counteroffensive, sending waves of fighters to retaliate. The battle grew fiercer, and the sky above Earth became a war zone of fire and explosions. It was a fight for the future of the planet, one that would decide whether humanity would remain on the brink of extinction or rise as the victor. In the heart of the battle, General Green's strategy seemed to be paying off. The human forces, now more organized and determined than ever, were pushing the aliens back. Every successful hit on the command ships destabilized the alien fleet further, throwing them into disarray. The aliens had once been the hunters, but now they were the hunted. But just as victory seemed within reach, the final twist came. The alien fleet had one last secret weapon, a massive planet-killing device hidden within the largest ship. It was activated, a countdown ticking away as the humans raced to stop it. If it was unleashed, Earth would be destroyed. The clock was ticking, and humanity's greatest challenge was about to begin. Humanity's victory and the end of the war. The countdown was ticking. The massive alien ship, once thought to be invincible, now held the fate of Earth in its hands. The war had come down to this moment. Humanity's final push against an enemy who had shown no mercy, an enemy that had brought destruction to Earth's cities and devastated its people. Now, with the aliens' last-ditch weapon set to destroy everything, it seemed like the end was near. But humanity wasn't done yet. General Marcus Green, along with his team of brave soldiers, had one final mission: disable the alien planet killer before it could launch. The fate of the world rested on a single strike. The human forces had come so far, overcoming impossible odds with each battle. Now they had to do what no one thought possible: stop the alien weapon and take back their home. As Green and his elite team approached the alien flagship, the sky above was filled with the deafening sounds of battle. The alien fleet, in disarray after their command structure had been shattered, tried desperately to fight back. But the humans had one advantage. They had learned how the aliens fought, how they thought, and most importantly, how they could be outsmarted. Green's ship cut through the chaos, weaving between blasts of alien fire. The alien fleet had grown desperate, firing wildly at anything that moved. But it wasn't enough to stop the humans. The new human ships, designed with alien technology and human ingenuity, were faster and more agile. They darted in and out of the enemy fire, striking their targets with precision. Each explosion, each shot, was a step closer to victory. As they closed in on the massive alien ship, a sudden explosion rocked their vessel. The alien defense systems had detected their approach. Green and his team fought back, using everything they had learned during the war to push through. They had no choice but to keep moving forward. If they hesitated, if they stopped for even a second, the aliens would win. The flagship loomed large in front of them, its dark hull shining in the distant light of the sun. It was unlike any ship humanity had ever seen, a fortress in space, designed to destroy everything in its path. Inside, the planet killer device was ready to fire. The countdown was down to minutes. Every second counted. "Deploy the teams," General Green ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "We take that ship, or we die trying." Humanity's bravest soldiers launched from their ships in smaller strike pods, maneuvering through the airless void toward the heart of the alien vessel. Inside, the alien defenses were fierce. Automated turrets shot at anything that moved. Yet the humans, trained for months in anticipation of this moment, stormed the ship's corridors with unmatched determination. In the depths of the alien ship, the countdown echoed in the minds of every soldier. Every step they took was another second closer to the end. The tension was unbearable. The soldiers fought with everything they had, pushing forward despite the overwhelming odds. They were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their world, for their future, and for the future of every person they loved. Finally, they reached the heart of the alien ship, the control center where the planet killer device was housed. The room was massive, filled with alien technology so advanced that it seemed impossible to comprehend. But the humans had one thing the aliens did not: their will to fight, to survive. Green's team placed explosives at key points around the device, and the countdown continued to tick. The final moments were a blur of chaos as alien soldiers and automated defenses rushed to stop them. But the humans had come too far to fail now. With one last push, they detonated the charges, crippling the alien weapon just as the final seconds of the countdown ticked away. The planet killer was neutralized. For a moment, everything was still. The massive alien flagship shuddered as its weapon failed. The silent space around it now, a graveyard of alien ships, disabled by the relentless drive of humanity's forces. Then, a wave of cheers erupted from the remaining human fleet. The war, which had once seemed impossible to win, had ended. The aliens, without their command and their ultimate weapon, had been forced into retreat. The human resistance, led by their courage, had turned the tide of the war. It was a victory like no other. As the surviving alien ships retreated into the depths of space, General Green stood at the helm of his ship, watching as Earth's sky slowly cleared. The fight had been long, the losses great, but humanity had proven that they would not be subjugated. They had faced an enemy from the stars and emerged victorious. The cost had been high. Cities had been destroyed, families torn apart, and countless lives lost. But in the end, humanity's strength, their ability to adapt and overcome, had been their greatest weapon. The human race had shown the galaxy that they were not weak, not helpless, and not to be underestimated. The war was over, and Earth was safe once more, but the battle for the future had only just begun.